And money is an incentive motive. If you don't go along with the program that the Al Sharpton, Ben Crump, Lee Merritt, whatever program that they put, strategy that they come up with of being quiet, of just going to court, getting your paycheck and moving on. If you don't stay with that strategy, they're gonna leave. They're gonna leave and go somewhere else, and you're gonna be left alone to fight by yourself. So families look at it like, yo, I have to. If I don't, how am I gonna be able to afford the lawyers to have this fight? So their incentive is money.
Let's embark on the Ark Republic to hear current news that's published. More than gossip and chatter, covering current affairs that matter. We talk issues with professional views, all keeping you in queue. We wanted a higher vibe for these days and times, to free the voices and minds, reporting the sign of the times, so all can build, let's shine, yeah.
What up, wherever you are in the universe? My name is Kaya Nyambi Shivers. Welcome to Ark Republic. I cannot tell y'all, me and Brother Africa, who is a historian, a sociologist, and an activist, we're talking, thinking we were in the show, and I did not press record, so I have to apologize. So we're going to try and run this back really quickly. It is such an important conversation. But again, how are you doing today, Brother
Outstanding.
Africa?
Outstanding. How you doing, sis?
I am all right. You know what? Sometimes everything happens for a reason. And so maybe there were some things we needed to get out before we officially get this conversation started. So what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, you and several community organizers, grassroots organizers, let me say that, disrupted a protest that was organized by Ben Crump, Al Sharpton, and some other locals who I call mainstream or commercial activists. And actually disrupted it and actually stopped it, or kind of sort of stopped it. But it was over this young man by the name of Z'Kye Husain, who was a teenager, 13 or 14 at the time, was being bullied by an older teenager at a mall. The teenager, the white teenager, then it turned into a fight. And then when the police came, the young black man, a young black boy, I should say, because he's not a man, the young black boy was detained by the police officers. So of course it went viral, and now here we are at this protest. So I want you to step in and give more specifics about what happened, and then we'll go from there.
Got you. No, I was scrolling down on my timeline on my social media feed, and I saw the video of what happened at the mall. So when I saw it, the first thing I thought about was a friend of mine. His name is Tremel Pittman. He's an activist in that area. So I gave him a call. So he was like, "Yeah, brother. Like I'm organizing right now. I'm getting some people that's been abused by the police, and I'm getting a couple of families together, and we're going to hold the mall and the police department accountable." So we spoke on the phone. He was like, he told me he was organizing the rally and stuff. When he finally got it organized, I had to work that day, so I couldn't make it. So I told him with the next one, whenever we're having, I'm going to show up. So I called him a couple of days later when I saw another flyer saying that Al Sharpton, Ben Crump, and somebody else, a couple of other people were coming. So he told me, yeah, we've been down here protesting, demanding the police officers be held accountable. And he was like, yeah, but I've been trying to reach out to the family, but it seemed like they got Ben Crump and Al Sharpton now, and they're supposed to be coming out to have a press conference. He's like, I'm going down there to tell them how I feel and how the people in the community feel and what they want done. So I'm like, yo, whatever it is, I'm gonna come down, I'm with you. So I went down there with him on that day. He came down there with a speaker. We had the speaker on, everybody was down there. You had the preachers down there with their suits on. You had local politicians down there. And the probably 20 media personalities were down there to capture the press conference from Ben Crump and the rest of them. So when we got there, we was talking, and he was telling me, he was like, yeah, when they start, we're going to speak too. We're not going to allow them to control the narrative. So when they started speaking, we got the mic, and I started speaking. I let it off, and I told the people that was in the I told the press, because as soon as I started speaking, the cameras turned around, and they started like going on. The cameras started going off on what we were saying. And our whole point of being there is because when decisions are made at the table, the activists like Tremel Pittman, like myself, and countless others that are on the streets on a daily basis trying to fight these institutions in our community, they never get the platform to speak. They never get to tell the media what the people on the grounds are feeling. So when the cameras came on, it was a chance for us to get out there that a paycheck is not going to solve the systemic problem in our community. That we're not out here fighting for Ben Crump and Al Sharpton for them to get rich. That is not our purpose. Our purpose is for the people that are being brutalized by the police on a daily basis. And on Brother Pittman, I think it was like a week and some days, he had already organized a plethora of people. He had up there people that were abused, that were beaten, that had court cases with the police department.
The Bridgewater Police Department.
The Bridgewater Police Department. Mm-hmm. And when Ben Crump came in, they never even made an attempt to speak to Tremel. They never made an attempt to speak to any other activists that's on the ground on a daily basis, like sacrificing their lives, because there are penalties that come to this work, to being an activist. There's no paycheck in it. The people that are on the ground on a daily basis working for their communities, there are no paychecks that come from anybody. They do this out of the love of their own hearts. Like, we all have jobs. We all go to work to try to pay our bills. We all do the same thing too as activists. And then we use that money that we have to go out there on the streets to demand justice for our tax dollars that we're spending. So when we got there, that's what I was telling the people that were gathered there and the press, that we need solutions that are beneficial to our whole community. That what happened to that young man could happen to any of our kids, has happened to all of our children, even us. That the strategy should be to bring it about justice, not vigilantism, like somebody getting paid off and the next day we have to deal with this all over again. And when Ben Crump and them came in, they never got in contact with nobody. They just believe they have enough status to come in there and do what they want, say what they want. At the end of the year, 2 years, collect a paycheck and move on to the dead person. I mean, because go ahead.
So let me just say this. Let me ask some questions to kind of break all this down, because it's people are hearing it, but I just want to make sure people really get exactly what it is that you're saying. There's a local activist who already organized people, who has been in the community organizing people for the very same issues that this protest was called on. However, nobody in the Crump or Sharpton, what do you want to call this, camp reached out to the local organizers. But somehow, and at the same time, you're saying that Z'Kye Husain's family members did not respond to Tremel's request or him reaching out?
Yes, well, if they responded, it was just a conversation, but it was nothing. It was nothing really to work with him. I mean, to get attention on it, or whatever strategy Tremel had. The family was trying to get in contact with people with a name, like Al Sharpton and Ben Crump. Like that's those are the people they wanted to get in touch with.
So let me ask you, let me ask you this really quickly. I'm assuming that Tremel told them, we're going to have a protest. We're going to use Z'Kye's experience as the entry point, but we have other people who have been dealing with the issue that are going to be there. Did they invite those people at the rally that they set up with Sharpton and Crump?
No.
Okay.
No, like, because they don't have no access to those people. The parents are not activists. Mm-hmm. I think the father was in the Navy. I don't know what he does now, but he was in the Navy or the Army, and I'm not sure what the mother does, but these people, they're not activists. Mm-hmm. Like most people are not activists. People are just living their life until they're forced into that situation. I mean, like, I'm not here to speak bad about the family. I mean, like, by me saying they're not activists, that's not a bad thing. It's like, they're not.
No, but I think it's important. I think it's important to kind of understand exactly what's going on, because it also, in my mind, might answer or be a part of the answer of the further question, which I will get to, which is that why do we, or what makes us continue to go to the Crumps and the Sharptons of the world when there is a template that is clearly in place that does not, as you said, benefit the whole community. But I want to get back to this specific press conference, because there were some conversations that went on too as well. So you are all there. Sharpton actually doesn't show up.
No, they probably called him and told him we were there, because when we got there, I have the video. Reverend Bartley. That's his
Surrogate.
whatever. I don't.
We'll call
Yeah,
it
that's a surrogate or whatever. It's his point man in Jersey, in Newark, New Jersey. Yeah, I see him on the phone calling him when he ceases there because we have a history. He knows who I am. So when they come there, their duty is not the duty what the people on the ground are fighting for. And that's what Brother Tremel was saying to them. Once you leave, once this case is over and you leave and you and the family is here, all these other people that have been abused by the police are still here. They have to face the consequences of whatever happens. And you are not accountable to none of that. And what I'm here to do is to make sure not another child is killed or nailed on by the police or abused. That is my purpose here. And you coming in, taking the platform and then changing the direction of what is going on the ground, that is problematic. I mean, and we don't believe you should be coming here doing it. He told him you got to check in. Wherever city, wherever state that you go to, those activists in that community should demand that you check in, that you come in and find out what their needs are. I mean, what they're fighting for. Like on the ground, we fight not to get our schools privatized, but you have people that come in with big names that come in with their own agenda and they do their own thing. So not all our schools are privatized. I mean, but going back to them, like he comes in and they direct it to the family. The family gets a paycheck because like your next question is why do the family keep calling them? Because there's an incentive to it. There's an incentive motive to everything that we're doing. And money is an incentive motive. If you don't go along with the program that the Al Sharpton, Ben Crump, Lee Merritt, whatever program that they put, strategy that they come up with of being quiet, of just going to court, getting your paycheck and moving on. If you don't stay with that strategy, they're gonna leave. They're gonna leave and go somewhere else, and you're gonna be left alone to fight by yourself. So families look at it like, yo, I have to. If I don't, how am I gonna be able to afford the lawyers to have this fight? So their incentive is money.
Right. But also the fact that they did not, even though they knew, because from what I understand, the breakdown of Bridgewater, New Jersey is very white. There's not a lot of Black representation.
5%.
5% Black, right? So there's a history of profiling, surveilling, and harassing the small Black population, right? So also what I'm hearing, I'm hearing a couple of things. Z'Kye Husain's video going viral is kind of like a record company, right? Today, the record company does not recruit you. You actually have to be a built-up artist for them to consider you because they don't have to do the work. So this is what I hear, like the Crumps of the world and the Sharptons of the world. All the people have done the work. The poor baby done got his ass beat, or somebody got shot. The family's grieving. Their case has gone viral. Now they're swooping in. This is the same thing I heard with the Jamie Moore case. Is that out of the blue, here comes some people who swoop in after all the work has been done. It went viral, and so now the red carpet has been laid out. All they have to do is show up, smile, and then something happens. But I also want to know is that did Tremel contact or reach out to the local press, and what was the response?
No, Tremel reached out to the local politicians. He reached out to the clergy. He reached out to the press. But then the press is not interested in highlighting our story because we don't go with the status quo, because the press work for somebody. The people, the individual person that has to come and record, they work for people that tell them what to do. So the people that's telling them what to do, they're not telling them to come to go cover those cases. They tell them to cover other cases. So like they have incentives or reasons for not showing up when Tremel called them. But if a Ben Crump call, if an Al Sharpton call, they already have relationship already built up from years, connections. Like you understand how this works. And they they come for them. So when they came, we said we're going to utilize that space to be able to get our message out. And our message is we want this to stop. We're not interested in cutting deals. We don't want vigilantism. We've gone past that stage. We're not out here just hunting for an individual police officer to get sent to prison. You and I know that doesn't solve the systematic issues that persist in the system that wasn't designed for us. So when we believe the only time we can share the same platform with them to get our argument out is to challenge them when they're at these events. Because when they're at these events, they're using us in the community. We're the background to their whole play, to their whole show of showing concern, of care, to changing the status quo. But in all actuality, what they're there for is to get a paycheck. They're ambulance chasers. They pimp, they poverty pimp our issues so they can make money. And we need to get that message out. Because like people always say that people in this community got to stand up for themselves. But if there are no cameras, if nobody's recording it, if nobody's writing it down, you don't know what we are doing. You have no idea how hard we're fighting out here, fighting to keep people in their homes, fighting to feed them. You don't see it because it's not coming on your on your TV screen. And these media outlets that's supposed to be a free press, they're not giving you these stories. So now we have to go ahead.
I want to interject something, right? Two major points. Being in the media for almost 3 decades, what I've come to find out is that a lot of media people are lazy. When I was a writer in LA, people from mainstream press would contact me and ask me for material because they didn't want to go to Watts. They didn't want to go to Compton. They didn't want to go to the prisons. They didn't want to go to South Central, right? They didn't want to go to these areas. And that actually is documented well even in the 1965 Watts riots. A lot of the LA Times press members were relying on those who went inside, right? But also I want to establish a point too. You don't think Ark Republic has contacted a Crump or a Sharpton or whomever? We don't get responses either. The mayor of Newark, we've contacted these people. So it's not only them contacting mainstream press members, but them not valuing local Black or just local press or, Black and brown press that is representative of the constituencies that they say they fight for. This is the irony of it all, right? So I wanted to add that. I have a question though, in the press conference, and I think that was an excellent strategy. I think everybody who's listening needs to take this strategy and storm the Bastille up in this motherfucker. But anyway, but what happened though at that when you disrupted it? What was going on there? Give us some of the details.
No, because these people know what they're doing is wrong. Sharpton, Ben Crump, all these people, Lee Merritt, all these people that say they speak for us, they know what they're doing is wrong. Inside, there's a process to what you're doing. And in that process, you see the contradiction. When they saw us up there speaking that what they're doing will change nothing in our communities, they can't say nothing to that. You can't argue against that. You can argue that this family is going to get a paycheck. They're going to get a paycheck, but our conditions are still going to stay the same. They can't hold no arguments to that. So there's nothing for them to say. They're actually embarrassed. The emperor has no clothes on. They're being exposed at that point. So they can't say nothing.
But what did they say to you?
They offered me the mic. They offered me to come speak at the mic with them. But I'm not the one that was supposed to be offering the mic. Because the first people that should be getting the mic are the activists that are risking their lives on a daily basis to work in that community. Like Tremel. We said 5% of that community is Black. In a week, this brother had gone on the street and organized people that were abused by the police. He had to go find people out of that 5%. This is hard work. This is not easy work. And this is continuous work that he does even when they leave. As we speak now, I guarantee you that brother is doing something right now for the people in that community. You have to speak to him when you come in, Sharpton. You have to find out what the strategy is, what the demands are of the people. Because if you're not, then what are you there to do? You're not really there to help those people. You're there to get a paycheck and keep it moving. And our community understands this. When you post these things on social media, I posted on my social media page. I have more than 10,000 people that watched the video, and everybody's commenting and they're saying like, yeah, we tired of them. We tired of our Sharptons. We're tired of them marching. We're tired of them coming in to get paychecks. They're ambulance chasers. People are coming. The majority, maybe 90% of the people that are coming on there are saying that. But these are people that don't have a platform to speak on a daily basis. Sharpton and them have the platform. He has MSNBC. How many millions of people does he reach on a daily basis or whatever? They have all these different non-action groups. They have access to the media. So they have the ability to reach people that we can't. So when they have these events trying to use the community as a background, it is our duty to come up there and tell the media and force the media to listen and tell them these people don't represent us because their strategy is not our strategy. Because at the end of the day, their demands that people are making, and people are not just laying here taking it. I mean, because that's a misnomer, like that people think like the people in these communities are not fighting. They're fighting to the death. They're fighting and risking their jobs. They're spending their own capital. But the Al Sharptons, the Ben Crump, these are the people the media shine the light on. And these are the people that regurgitate the talking points of the state, which are not ours. We don't believe calling the governor, going to the federal courts, whatever. We don't believe that's going to change anything because we've seen it all before. It's a broken record.
Okay.
I mean, so when
so let me I have a couple of questions more about the press conference. So the Husains might have reached out or had a conversation with Tramiel. Was there any conversation between the activists and the Husain family? If so, what was it?
The Husain family was holding out for Ben Crump and them to come through because they understand it's like you have to make a choice. It's either you stand with the activists on the ground or you stand with these activists that's already approved by the state, that the media already approve of, the ones that they bring in, that they usher in to come in and tell us that they're working for us. Like the family already made up their mind who they were going with. And we can just, it's not easy to just sit back and say the family's at fault. These are decisions and contradictions that we all have to make. Because if they go with the activists on the street, we don't have the resources that a Ben Crump or Lee Merritt have. You see, that's what gives them the status that they have.
But did they acknowledge you? Did they acknowledge you?
No, they did not acknowledge. They came in, they set up their table, their booth, whatever they were going to speak at, and they were going to speak to the press, and then they were going to get on their planes, and they were going to go wherever they were going.
I'm talking about the family. I'm talking about the family. Did the
family came? The family came with them, and the family was going to get on their get in their cars and go home after that. I mean, that is the plan. They're not trying to build a consensus with the activists on the street that were out there trying to get this information out.
So there was no conversation at all between the activists and family.
In fact, the father, because Tramiel was challenging Crump, and he was telling Crump, like, you need to check in with the activists that are on the ground. And the father was challenging Tramiel. And he said to Tramiel, why? Because we didn't contact you? And Tramiel Pittman said, yes, you didn't contact me. You contacted them. You didn't reach out to me to let me know anything. And we're out here because it's not only about the young man. We have to remember that. Yeah, what happened to the young man is horrible. It's sad. It shouldn't happen. It should never happen. But it shouldn't happen to none of our children either. And our whole purpose is to stop it from happening. We have to do something else. That was our purpose to be there. And his conversation with the father was basically, yes, you should contact us, the activists, because obviously the parents are not activists. I mean, and they don't understand the parents, I have no doubt in my mind, the parents don't understand how activism, how what's going on the ground, how all of these things work. Because they're not activists themselves. They're normal citizens. Like the majority of people. The majority of people go to work, send their kids to school, send their kids to the mall, and just expect them to come home. They're not out here on the streets like demanding for liberation until they're oppressed and they're made aware of the condition themselves. Then they join in and they become activists. But the parents, like, they're new to this. So I'm not upset at them. I'm not here to like talk bad about them. It's just how the chessboard is set up. This is how it is. It's either you go with them or you have to struggle with the activists on the ground. And they made the decision that's beneficial to them economically.
So they think. So they think.
So they economically, so they think. Yeah.
We talked about in what we now it's the pre-show, which we thought was the show, but we talked about like what is that? Oh, Patience said something.
Yeah, Patience, what you said? Oh, yo, take Poppy with you. Tell him what I'm doing. Take Poppy with you.
Tell Patience we'll be done in like 20 minutes.
Tell her, Patience, tell him we'll be done in 20 minutes. If you could wait. Tell him what I'm doing.
No, but you say Poppy
No, because Poppy could have went and took him home in the car. But tell him I'll be done in 20 minutes. But yeah. So where we at?
Well, yeah, no, that's why I'm hitting these points. You know what I'm saying? So we can get everything out. So in the pre-show that was supposed to be the real show, you told me that some people came up to you, clarify who, and said that what you were doing was actually, or you needed to operate in unity.
Yes.
Did that happen? Okay.
Nah, the young man's mother. The young man's mother came because she don't know Africa. She don't know about the activists of the day. She really don't know them because this is not her life. So when she saw me speaking, she came over and she was like, I understand what you're saying. I agree with you. Because we were drawing a clear line, a distinction from what they do and what we doing. And she understood what we were saying was right. And she was saying, we have to work together. And I told her, there's no working with them. They have their agenda. They're not here to work with us. If they wanted to work with us, they would have reached out to the community. So it's a decision that we all have to make on which side you stand on. I mean, and once she's aware, once she knows, once she's been through this process, her perception or her mind state will be different on the decisions she make. But we have to keep this clear. There is no us or no allyship with these people because they're not here for the benefit of the community. We understand that and we know it. So it's not a guessing game. So when they asked me, Ben Crump asked me to come to the mic, to the podium to speak. And I told him, I'm not going on any podium that you're on. We're two different. Our political philosophies are different. You're here for a totally different reason that I'm here for. I mean, and it's building institutions. Let's keep it clear. He's there to ask institutions of white supremacy to give us justice. That is his purpose there. And I'm telling him those days are over. We know those institutions are not going to give us justice. The only thing that will give us justice is us building our own institutions. And this is where our energy should be focused. And whatever he has to say, other than that, I don't want to hear. I really don't want to hear.
Well, you made some really good points that I kind of want to run back and throw back at you. This whole idea, because I think people they understand it, but then there's another understanding I think that needs to be had is that even if Bridgewater Police Department settles out with the Husain family, the problem is that it's a systemic issue, right? And so these profilings and harassments will continue to go on. And you said something that I think you even took it further. Actually, it probably will be a lot worse after this case is settled for a whole bunch of reasons, which is what we're seeing right now in a post Black Lives Matter world.
Yes.
Is that you're seeing actually, it's like if all I have to do is pay out a couple of taxpayers' dollars, really, because that's what it is.
Yes.
After I kill a kid or a Black man or a woman or whatever it is, then I could treat this like a hunting club. I could kill somebody. I could say I fear for my life. I can say I provided instructions, and then we'll take taxpayers' money and pay it out. So I think that was important in terms of because a lot of people, especially I would say post Black Power era, right? The idea, because we enter after the Black Power era, the 70s, after Black is beautiful, we are one, and brother and blood and all this other stuff we were saying, it became very individualistic. Capitalism kicks up, neoliberalism kicks up, right? And so a lot of people now think is that, well, what they got to do with me? I don't, you know what I'm saying? That mentality that we have, which even though I'm not faulting or saying that what they did was necessarily a right or wrong, but it helps us understand the mechanics of why they keep calling a Crump and a Sharpton. When in the whole, nothing is going to change. Theoretically, Husain could grow up and be stopped by the same police department in 5 years.
By the same cop. By the same one. And it happens. I've been stopped by the same police officer that abused me. I watched them my whole entire life growing up. You see, and that's why we're saying, the strategy has to change. How we trying to gain justice has to change. And you say in the 80s, things changed over because you see, these institutions have memory. American institutions have institutional memory, and they know what they've done. They know how to change it and how to fix it for the next generation. Mm. We haven't produced institutions to even have institutional memory. So after the Malcolm, after the Black Power era, the American institutions understood you can't have a perspective other than the status quo reaching the masses. Mm-hmm. The only people that are allowed to be in these spaces that we have created, the MSNBC, CNN, NBC, all these spaces that goes to all American homes, it has to be people that we control. Mm-hmm. So the narrative from our Black leadership from the 80s until now has been individualism, assimilation into these institutions. And we are saying these institutions are not serving us. Taxes without representation. We are not the first people to say that. We're not the, since they try, they try to make Indian people. Not only want to say Indian. That's she like look at me. I'm saying Indian. The native. See, but look at me. The first words out of my mouth is Indian when I should know better. Mm-hmm. The Native Americans that were here, they try to put them in school. They put them in schools. Mm-hmm. They killed them. Mm-hmm. They created genocide. And those people fought to demand their children not go to their schools. But what did we do as a people? What has Black leadership been doing? Carter G. Woodson said this in 1919 or something, that we shouldn't send our children into these institutions. But all our politicians, all our Black leaders are saying, assimilate, send your kids to these institutions, go to college, get a good degree, keep your head down, and you're going to get the American dream. Mm-hmm. It's all been a lie. We've watched our family get murdered on the streets. We've watched them take our jobs, take our pensions. We've watched them commit all kinds of atrocities to us. The new Jim Crow, the prison. The prison industrial system is the new Jim Crow. It was genocide. We've witnessed it. So we're saying we have no trust in these institutions anymore. If your strategy as a leader in the Black community, which Al Sharpton is, when Joe Biden won the presidency, Al Sharpton was one of the 10 or 12 Black leaders that he put in a room that they had in a Zoom call, and they spoke about what they were going to do for Black America. They didn't call Africa. They don't call me. They call these people. So when these people speak, all Black people, well, not all, most Black people hear what they're saying. And we have the right to tell them, because we live in these communities, what you're doing and what you're saying and the strategy that you're demanding people follow, that's not what we're saying on these streets. And that's not what we want. I mean, and that's what it was. And that's what the whole event while we went there was, to do that. Because like I said, they're not talking to us any other time. I'm never going to see an Al Sharpton anywhere. If I call them, they're not taking my call. I mean, like when they say like, yo, why didn't we speak before this? Why didn't you? You're not taking my call, Al Sharpton. Where I'm going to see you at? I'm not going to see him nowhere. I'm not going to see Lee Crump, Lee Merritt, Ben. Yeah.
Merritt is running for something too. I
Senator, I think Senator. But I'm not going to see these people out in our day-to-day lives in these communities. We see none of these people. All the lawyers that work down at City Hall, that work in the court system, that say like they pro-Black, they're doing it for the Black people in the community. The community never see these people. They don't live here. They don't spend their capital here. They don't do nothing with the community. They just come in like carpetbaggers, take from the community and leave. And the community has to be able to reach the masses and let them know, like, yo, we are not co-signing this behavior. And anywhere they go, wherever these people go in the country, yo, the activists on the ground, because I know they're there, because the conditions demand you have people that fight back. They should come out and speak too. They should come out and hold these people accountable. I mean, as a Black Panther, somebody that give his life, my family give their life to working with our communities. Yo, we have the right on the say-so on what's going on in our community. I mean, we pay the tax dollars. When, like you said, when they cut that check out, it's our money. It's the money that we got to go to work and go work for. That's the money that they're giving away to these families for shooting them.
Right. I think that's part of, one of the things we talk about, institution building, we talk about checking in, we talk about holding people accountable, all these things. We really need to create a very I'm saying we do a demand list. You know what I'm saying? Like when checks get cut, let me tell you where these checks need to go, right? Which somebody might have created it, but how
we got him.
Okay,
but how is anybody going to hear him? No. You see, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, listen. I'm listening.
No. We have him. That's what I'm saying. But how is anybody ever going to hear us when we're drowned out by the Al Sharptons and the Ben Crump?
Right, with the Ark Republics of the world. But
that's why you're here.
Let me tell you this. I'm gonna tell you though, as I moving through stuff and hearing stuff in the channels, the tentacles of how things are situated are far deeper, and a lot of incestuous stuff that goes on too. For example, I can't name specific names, but you have the director of communications of a pretty sizable city and like the state of New Jersey is the side piece to a pretty sizable activist, so these are the things. I ain't saying no names, but these are the things that we're talking about in terms of why we are not acknowledged or why your demands are not acknowledged. And I'm saying this as well as being a press member. And I just didn't come out the blue, just like you didn't come out the blue. I've been doing this for almost 30 years, but not getting the respect. But I digressed. I wanted to bring up this part because I think this is important because, and we were talking about the build and destroy, right? How creating institutions, you also have to break down the ones or the barriers in place. You posted this video some months ago about people waiting in the wee hours of the morning for a bus.
Yes.
Break that down and how this connects to what we're talking about.
No, it was around during the Trump era. Like it was a couple of months ago. I'm trying to remember why they were trying to go to DC. I think they were trying to march to DC to go tell Biden to do something. But anyway, they have used their influence to influence people in the community on solution or strategies that will change our material condition. So they got people to come out 3-4 o'clock in the morning to come take a bus to ride to DC for a rally. When those people got there, they paid their money for the bus, for the ride, everything. One of the people that was supposed to be there with our Sharpton, Reverend Bartley, Pastor Bartley, whatever his name is, in North, he organized this. The people got there, they stayed there from 3 in the morning. They're probably still there now, waiting for them to bring the buses. They never brought any buses. So all the money that these people gave them to get these buses to ride to DC, to go over there and demand justice from Washington, from Biden, they never got on the bus. I mean, like they never provided. And who are you going to call to hold these people accountable? There's nobody to call to hold them accountable. So our people blindly follow these people into a dead end solution with nothing changes but their bank account, because they got money. They got money for people people registered and pay money to get on those buses. Somebody got paid and they didn't go anywhere. They never went. Those people, I have the video too. I still have the video. Those people never went anywhere. I got calls from those people at like 4 o'clock in the morning, asking me like if I had any information or anything, if I knew anything. And there was nothing I could do for them because I'm not going to DC. I don't believe Biden could do anything for us. So I'm not going there to answer for nothing. And we need to get this straight. Both parties are the same. There's no difference in either party. Just because I say I don't support Biden doesn't mean I support the Republicans or Donald Trump. Because if you don't say that, our people are so used to the talking points, they believe you're a Republican. No, I believe this entire system, their institutions are not built for people like me, people that look like me, or people in my class. So I see it as insane to participate in this system any longer. That's why we say we don't want your strategy of pleading to them for justice. We need institutions to change the minds and build the minds that can fight these people in the future. We have to build our own institutions. That is the only way you change material conditions, because institutions control how people behave. And we cannot expect our children that we send into their institutions to come out and do anything other than what their institutions demand.
You know
And this
what? Let me just say this, and I actually have a question because I know we crunch for
we
time
good.
and
Go ahead.
patience. Your producer was like, "Excuse me."
Yeah.
Okay.
We good. Come on.
There are actually several studies that came out. It was on education about children who got bused, Black children who got bused, and Black children who went to predominantly white schools. What they found out is that they actually their graduation rate and what they do in terms of their careers is far lower than Black children who go to predominantly Black schools, and so on, or are not bused, even if their school system is not as pristine as them being bused out, because there is something that happens to these babies when they go into these spaces. And so this is one of the things that you're talking about. I have a last question that specifically talks about disrupting the commercial activists, AKA what you call the ambulance chasers. So if something does happen to somebody in the community and they need activists or they need people to step up and they don't want to go to Crump or Sharpton, or they want an alternative, break down what is it that they need to do? Because a lot of people don't know what to do. Where do they go?
I got
Who do
you.
they call?
Man, it's easy. Yo, we at war. Yo, if you're a Black person, if you're poor, if you're living in these communities, yo, we're not going to equivocate about this. We at war with systems that are erected to oppress us. Like, this is scientific. If you want to do something about that, you have to join an organization. If there's no organization, you build one. But we here in Newark, New Jersey, New Africa Black Panther Party, we're trying to build our own institutions. You, like, when something happened and they shoot your baby, yo, it's too late to get that life back. After they lynch your child, it's too late. Yo, you have to start now. There's a war that started before I was born, before I was here. As all Black people, it is our duty to fight for our liberation. See, that's the prism and perspective that I'm coming from. Bring the car charger.
Okay.
But what you call it? No, yeah, she's so funny. But we are at war, and there's no easy answers. Yo, you have to build a community that you want. Right now, these people are not doing that. So if you want me to give you a quick pill, a quick answer to solve this, I don't have one. All I can tell you is what we do. What we do is, like, people need homes, people need to be fed. We show them how to stay in their apartment. If the landlord kick you out your apartment, they're not supposed to, we're going to kick that door down and put you back in and change your lock. They got to come with the federal government, whatever they need to do to drag you out of there. Because, like, do not let these people exploit you. If you don't have food, we give out food every Wednesday. We're almost done building the community center, the Hassan Shakur Community Center, 309 South Orange Avenue in North. So we're going to have homeschooling there. We're going to have free breakfast program. We're going to have things that people in the community need. People that come home from jail, whatever, that need resources, need birth certificate, social security card, all these things that you need to be able to survive in the system. We're going to try to find a way to make these things happen. So, like, you join that fight. You join the fight of taking over the school system. The school is a building. The American education system, it is a system. It is an institution. Without our children, without us in there, it dies. So if the people in the community are organized to find other institutions like homeschooling, because that's what we're going to do. Our program, the Hassan Shakur Community Center is going to be a prototype to show the community, if you want to change your community, you can do this yourself. We don't have millions of dollars. We don't have any money. We're doing this on our own. Like I told you, we went to the building. The building with the roof was down. It has been there for 20 years. Nobody was in there. We went in and told the city, we're taking it. We're going to fix it up, and we're going to make it a community center for the community. Like, this has nothing to do about us getting rich. It's about fighting for our community. So if you want to do that, you have to join efforts like that. And when you join efforts like that, and you create spaces to groom these children to be productive adults, you will see the change. But if you go into these institutions that's erected by white supremacy, by our oppressors, there will never be change. You will produce the same people over and over and over and over, because that's what it's meant by status quo. It's meant to produce the status quo.
Well,
and if people, Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought. Sorry.
No, if people really want to change our material condition, they must join the war to liberate our people. That's the only answer. And as a black person, if you don't think, I'm gonna say what Malcolm said in the 60s. If you don't think we're at war at this time, at this late time, then I'm sorry for you. Like, I don't know what to tell you. If you're a black person in America and you don't understand we are at war as a people, you're not ready yet. There's nothing I can really say to you.
Well, I do thank you for your comments. I think that it is a great start. Everybody doesn't have, well, there is an Africa in every city. There is an organization in every city, and we do have to start somewhere. But I think it is our duty to create very kind of clear directions or directives, especially if people have no organizing and they don't know where to go, because part of it is that it's not just the Crumps and the Sharptons, but also you have people that wear a red, black, and green or dashiki that are just as slimy and guttery, as the next, right? So you've got to help, you've got to give people tools to navigate it. We've got to, whatever that looks like.
I got it too. But read those books.
Well, that's cool. That's one, but application and all this other stuff. Come on now, you're a theorist, okay? You know
read the books.
You can read the book, but the practitioner part, you got to have some kind of rubric and understanding of how you apply it.
You know why I say read the book? Because I didn't wake up an activist. I didn't wake up knowing what I know. I joined other groups. I used to be in all this commercialized activist spaces, and the books that they were talking about. They always say read Carter G. Woodson, Miseducation of a Negro. Guess what? I read it and I listened to Carter G. Woodson, what he was saying. They say read Fanon. I read Fanon. They say read Malcolm. I read Malcolm. They say read Martin. I read it and I studied the argument that Martin is having with himself. Where do we go from here? When you read those arguments that he's debating with himself and you look at the time period that we're living in, the answers will come to you. I mean, I can't tell you, but once you read those pages and you're sincere about knowing, the answers are in those pages. These people are just frauds. The Al Sharpton and them, they just use those people as social credibility. I mean, they use those names to give themselves credibility in the struggle, but they don't follow nothing those people say. They do the opposite of what those people say. I mean, and like, real quick, 1 minute. We were talking about Dr. Greg Carr and what's the other dude name? But anyway, Dr. Greg Carr was having a debate about politics and everything that they were saying we should do, that those historians like Carter G. Woodson, they do the opposite. I'm watching Greg Carr and Dr. Jared Ball. Greg Carr said we have to stay in the communities, whatever, with our people, and we must struggle with our people. He don't live in those communities. He said that Carter G. Woodson has to, we have to build our own institutions. He doesn't belong to any other institution other than white supremacy. And then he spoke about the black school that he taught at, that black school will do nothing for black liberation. But you're teaching there, you work there.
I don't know.
The Reddit.
Oh, Africa, you cut off. Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm there?
Yeah.
I'm there?
My internet is messed up, but
basically you get the gist. You get the gist. You get the gist of what I'm saying.
All right. Thank you so very much. Kind of last thoughts are yours, please. And let's wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it all together for you because we were supposed to talk about the Ukraine. Yo, Africans are just like here. African Americans, Africans in Africa, African diaspora, we're all socialized by the same social structure. Those African students that we see in Ukraine that are being systematically oppressed by the government over there are going through the same thing we're going through. But you got to understand, though, the nefarious part, those students are from families that are wealthy, because you don't just get up and get a passport, a visa, or whatever to go to any European country to go study. Your family has to have money. So those elite, the bourgeois of those countries that they come from, send their own children to these European countries to get education instead of building institutions in their own country to take care of their own children. Like, we have a problem. And until we decide we need to build our own institutions, we are not going to stop this oppression from coast to coast, from what you call it, with a continent to continent. We're not going to stop the oppression unless we start to build our own institutions. So yeah, I feel bad for them over there, but I would never go to Russia to study. I would never go to Ukraine to study. I would never go anywhere else. I don't want that. I want to build my own institutions. I mean, and until we do that, we're going to see what's been going on my whole entire life and before me continue to persist. And that's all I got to say, man. Hey, we at the New Africa Black Panther Party, 309 South Orange Avenue. Telephone number 862-283-9918. Cash App, $, I live for the people. That's where we at, man. And our only option is to build institutions. And that's what our life is dedicated to. That's it, sis.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brother Africa. And also, Brother Africa has a podcast, All Power to the People. Right?
I forgot that part. You gotta have so many jobs out here, man. I'm telling you, I forgot about the podcast too. Yo. I got.
He has a YouTube channel, All Power to the People, which is a podcast. Yeah. You can also see the footage that he was talking about there. Thank you so much, Brother Africa. We're gonna do this again next week because I want to go more in depth with the Ukraine conversation because a week's time, it's still going to be there.
Let's embark on the Ark Republic to hear current news that's published. More than gossip and chatter, covering current affairs that matter. We talk issues with professional views, all keeping you in queue. We wanted a higher vibe for these days and times, the freedom voices and minds, reporting the sign of the times, so all can build. Let's shine, yeah.